Let's be real. Few things confuse men more than this little game. Everything seems fine, she's into you, the vibe is good, and then out of nowhere she pulls back. Calls slow down, texts get shorter, her energy changes, and you're left sitting there asking yourself, did I do something wrong? Did she lose interest? Or is she just busy? Spoiler alert. Most of the time she's not that busy. She's pulling away on purpose. Not because she's lost attraction, but because she wants to know if you'll come running after her. Now, before you roll your eyes and write it off as games women play, understand this. It's not always malicious. Sometimes it's not even conscious. It's human psychology. And if you don't get this right, you're going to fail one of the most common tests in modern dating. The psychology of the pullback. Let's talk science for a second. Ever heard of intermittent reinforcement? It's a principle from behavioral psychology that explains why slot machines are so addictive. You don't get a reward every time you pull the lever. Sometimes you win, sometimes you don't. That unpredictability keeps you hooked. Now apply that same psychology to dating. When she's warm and affectionate one day, then distant the next. It creates that same addictive loop in your brain. You start craving her attention more because you're not sure when you'll get it again. That's the psychological backbone of the pullback. But here's the twist. Sometimes she is the one running that experiment. She pulls back, not to punish you, but to watch what you'll do. Will you chase harder, blowing up her phone, rearranging your life to win her back? Or will you stay grounded and unbothered, showing her you're not dependent on her validation? Why women do it. There are a few reasons why women pull away to see if you'll chase. Testing security. She wants to know if you're secure enough to hold your frame when her attention shifts. In her mind, a man who panics when she steps back isn't a man she can fully trust long-term. Craving reassurance. Some women equate your willingness to chase with how much you really care. They've been conditioned to believe love equals pursuit, so pulling away is how they measure your effort. Fear of losing power. If she feels like you're in control of the dynamic, pulling away is her way of tipping the balance back. It's not always conscious. It's a reflex to avoid feeling too vulnerable. Boredom reset. Familiarity kills excitement. Pulling away and watching you react is her way of injecting drama and curiosity back into the relationship. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Even good women do this. It's not just a toxic girl thing. It's human behavior. The difference is in how you, as a man, respond. Why most men fail the test. When a woman pulls back, most guys hit panic mode. They start double texting, asking if everything's okay, begging for answers, or worse, confessing feelings they weren't even sure about just to lock her down. Congratulations, you just failed the test. Why? Because what you really told her is, my emotional stability depends on how much attention you give me. That's not attractive. That's dependency disguised as love. Other guys fail in the opposite way. They notice her pulling away and immediately get bitter. They throw up a wall, go cold, or start playing tit-for-tat games. Oh, she wants to ignore me. I'll ignore her harder. That's not strength either. That's insecurity wearing a leather jacket. What actually works? The men who pass this test don't chase and don't pout. They simply stay grounded. They keep living their lives, staying busy, staying focused, staying calm. They don't force her to come back, they let her. That's what women find magnetic. Not the guy who chases at every pullback. Not the guy who sulks like a wounded puppy. But the guy who doesn't break stride. That's the man who earns respect, not just attraction. And here's the irony. When you don't chase, that's when she usually comes running back. Because now the game backfires. Instead of proving that you need her more than she needs you, you've proven the opposite. You're secure enough to let her drift without losing yourself. That's when curiosity kicks in. She starts wondering, wait, why didn't he chase? Doesn't he care? Who else is getting his attention? And that curiosity pulls her back faster than any begging text ever could. Alright, so we've covered the basics. She pulls away, you panic, or you play it cool. But let's go deeper. Because the pullback isn't just some surface-level trick. It's tied to biology, psychology, and even the way men and women have been wired for thousands of years. The evolutionary root of the pullback. Back in the caveman days, attraction wasn't about Instagram likes, it was about survival. A woman needed to know that the man she chose wasn't just strong enough to fight off predators, but also stable enough not to fall apart under stress. So what do women do today, without even realizing it? They simulate stress. Pulling away is like throwing a little storm into the relationship, just to see if you'll hold steady. It's her subconscious way of asking, if life gets rough, will he crumble or will he stay solid? If you chase hard, you signal desperation. If you collapse emotionally, you signal weakness. But if you stay centered, you're giving off the vibe of the hunter who knows his value and doesn't need to beg for validation. That's the type of energy that has always signaled protection and provision. The dopamine drop. Here's another layer. Chemistry. When things are fresh and exciting, dopamine is firing like fireworks. Every text feels electric. Every kiss feels like a high. But eventually that baseline drops. It's not that she doesn't like you anymore, it's that her brain adjusts. Some women, when that drop happens, panic. They think, why don't I feel the same excitement? Maybe I don't like him as much as I thought. So what do? They pull away. Not to end things, but to reignite the dopamine. To see if you'll chase, because your chase gives her that little rush again. But here's the kicker. Dopamine-driven attraction is shallow. It's addictive, but it fades fast. Real attraction, the kind that lasts, comes when a man doesn't dance to every mood swing. When you hold your ground, she eventually realizes that her emotions can rise and fall, but you stay consistent. That's when respect replaces the roller coaster. The hidden fear behind the pullback. Let's get brutally honest. A lot of women pull away not because they're testing you, but because they're afraid. Afraid of getting hurt. Afraid of losing control. Afraid of being too vulnerable too soon. Think about it. If she's into you, she's opening herself up emotionally. That's scary. Pulling back is her way of regaining control. She tells herself, if I step back and he chases, then I'm safe. He wants me more than I want him. It's not rational, but fear rarely is. Now, here's the mistake men make. They see the pullback as rejection, when really, it's often a defense mechanism. If you overreact, you confirm her fear. If you stay calm, you disarm it. That's why staying unbothered works. It doesn't just protect your frame, it calms hers. The mirror test. Here's a sneaky thing women do. They pull away to mirror your investment. If you've been slacking, texting less, putting in less effort, she'll pull back to match your energy. Then she sits back and waits. Do you notice? Do you care? It's not always a game. Sometimes it's a reflection. Relationships are like a dance. If you step back, she steps back. The problem is when men take that as a cue to panic instead of realizing, maybe I should just re-lead. But again, the way to handle this isn't to chase with desperation. It's to step up with intention. There's a difference. Chasing is neediness. Leading is direction. Women respect the second, not the first. Why pullbacks work so well? Here's the brutal truth. Pulling away works because men give it power. If every guy simply shrugged and kept living his life when a woman played the distance game, women would stop doing it. But because most guys can't handle silence, the tactic stays effective. It's like fishing. If you know tugging the line gets a reaction, you'll keep doing it. And many women learn early on that pulling away sparks attention. Not because they're evil masterminds, but because human beings repeat what works. The joke's on her. But here's the fun part. When you don't chase, the pullback often backfires. Instead of making her feel secure, it makes her feel anxious. She starts thinking, why didn't he run after me? Does he even care? Wait, who else might he be talking to? That's when the hunter becomes the hunted. She pulled away to test you, but your lack of reaction becomes the test she can't pass. The irony is delicious. The very thing she does to feel powerful ends up making her more invested in you because your calmness creates curiosity, and curiosity is the fuel of attraction. Alright, let's talk about the split screen. On one side, how most men react when a woman pulls away. On the other, how the man she actually respects handles it. Because here's the truth. She doesn't pull away to watch you collapse. She pulls away to see if you can handle the distance, and most guys fail this test before they even know it's happening. The average guy reacts. So picture this. She stops texting for a day. What does the average guy do? He double texts. Then he triple texts. Then he starts leaving voice notes like a desperate salesman trying to meet his quota. Or by hour 24, he's basically arguing with himself in her inbox. By day 2, he's asking her if she's mad at him. By day 3, he's scrolling back through old conversations to analyze where he went wrong. It's tragic. And the worst part? She sees all of it. Every desperate ping confirms exactly what she suspected. This guy's emotions are tied to her attention. That's not attraction. That's dependency. The emotional overcorrection. Some men go the opposite route. Instead of chasing, they try to punish her with coldness. They throw passive-aggressive jabs. Wow. Must be nice to be too busy to text. Guess you found someone better. Or the classic, I don't care anyway. Which, by the way, is hilarious, because if you didn't care, you wouldn't announce it like a press release. That's not strength, that's insecurity in a costume. And here's the kicker. Women can feel the difference between calm detachment and bitter resentment. One makes her lean in, the other makes her lean out for good. The masculine response. So what's the actual move? Simple. Nothing. You keep living your life. You don't chase. You don't punish. You don't perform. You hold your line. Because if you're truly high value, your world doesn't stop spinning just because she's taking a little walk in her own head. Think of it like this. Imagine you're at the gym, and your workout partner says, "Hey, I'm going to sit this set out." Do you throw your dumbbells on the floor and cry? No, you finish your set. You keep training. That's what being a man in relationships looks like. Consistency in the face of inconsistency. The paradox of calmness. Here's the paradox. The less you chase, the more she invests. Why? Because calmness in the face of distance communicates abundance. You're telling her without saying a word, "I like you, but I don't need you. My value doesn't shrink when you step back." That drives her crazy in the best way possible. Suddenly, the test she set for you flips into a test for her. She has to decide. Is she willing to risk losing a man who won't dance to her tune? Spoiler, most of the time she comes running back. What holding frame really means. Guys here don't chase and think it means play games. No, holding frame isn't about manipulation. It's about discipline. It's about being the same man, whether she's warm or cold, whether she's texting paragraphs or ghosting for a week. Your emotions don't swing like a pendulum just because hers do. Frame means you set the tone. You're the thermostat, not the thermometer. She doesn't control your temperature with her moods. You regulate the room, and she adjusts to you. The psychology of respect. Here's the brutal truth. Women don't lose attraction because you weren't nice enough. They lose attraction because you weren't solid enough. They lose attraction because you weren't solid enough. When you panic at her pullback, she sees instability. And instability is the opposite of masculine energy. It's not about being cold or robotic. It's about being grounded. Imagine you're on a plane and there's turbulence. You look at the pilot. If he's calm, you relax. If he's sweating bullets, you freak out. That's exactly what's happening in relationships. The pullback is turbulence. She's checking the pilot's face. The reward of patience. Here's where it gets fun. If you hold steady, the reward is twofold. She comes back on her own, realizing you weren't fazed. Her respect for you grows. Because now you're not just the man she likes, you're the man she can't rattle. That makes her lean in harder, because she knows she's dealing with someone different, someone rare. Most men are addicted to chasing validation. The man who isn't? He becomes the validation. Look, men, we overcomplicate this. The pullback isn't a death sentence. It's not even always conscious on her part. Sometimes she's just in her own head, dealing with her own stuff. But either way, the principle remains the same. You don't break character, you don't chase, you don't spiral, you keep your center. Because the second you let her mood dictate your manhood, you've lost the game. And that's why the guys who understand this never stress when she pulls away. They know attraction is a tide. It comes and goes, but the rock on the shore doesn't move. And funny enough, it's the rock she always runs back to. All right, let's get into the meat of this. Why does chasing backfire so hard? Why does it turn attraction into disgust faster than a bad cologne? Because on paper, chasing seems logical. She pulls away, you close the gap. She's distant, you show her you care. You think you're proving devotion, but in her psychology, you're proving dependence. And dependence kills attraction every single time. Chasing is confirmation. Let's break it down. When she pulls away, she's testing for strength. She wants to know, can this guy handle not being the center of my world for a moment? Does he trust his own value enough to stay calm? The moment you chase, you confirm the opposite. You're saying, without your constant approval, I collapse. That's not romantic. That's needy. And women don't dream about needy men. They tolerate them until someone stronger comes along. The evolutionary lens. Let's zoom out. In evolutionary psychology, women looked for stability, strength, and resourcefulness. A man who lost his mind every time she stepped back wasn't a protector, he was a liability. Chasing triggers that ancient instinct. This man's survival is dependent on me, which flips attraction into pressure. She doesn't feel admiration, she feels suffocated. It's the difference between a man standing tall while she circles him, and a man running laps around her begging for crumbs. One is power, the other is panic. Scarcity versus abundance. Here's the paradox. Chasing doesn't communicate love, it communicates scarcity. It tells her you don't believe you can attract anyone else. That's why her attention feels like oxygen to you, because you think there's no other source. But abundance? Abundance says, I enjoy your company, but I'm fine without it. That's the frame women can't resist, because it shows strength. It shows options. It shows you're with her by choice, not by desperation. Chasing screams, you're my only shot. Holding frame whispers, I have choices. I choose you. Guess which one she respects more. The illusion of effort. Now, here's where most men trip. They confuse effort with chasing. Effort is planning a date, checking in, building a life. Chasing is throwing all your emotional stability out the window the second she goes quiet. Effort is attractive. Chasing is repulsive. The difference is intention. Effort says, I'm building something solid. Chasing says, please don't leave me. One is leadership. The other is begging. The reverse effect. And here's the kicker. The more you chase, the more she pulls away. Now, think about magnets. When you push one toward the other from the wrong side, they repel. That's exactly how chasing works. The harder you lean in, the harder she leans out. And the irony? The second you stop chasing, when you finally lean back 9 times out of 10, she comes running. Because she realizes the game only works if you play it. What to do instead? So what do you do instead of chasing? Simple. You double down on your own life. Focus on your mission. Work, goals, health. This is where your energy should go. Keep social proof alive. Be around other people. Keep your circle strong. Maintain consistency. If you hit the gym at 6 a.m. before her, you still hit the gym at 6 a.m. during her silence. You don't stop moving just because she stepped aside. You become a man whose value is independent of her mood. That's when she realizes pulling away doesn't shake you, it only highlights your strength. When to actually walk away? Now, here's the hard pill. Sometimes the pullback isn't a test. Sometimes it's her exit strategy. And the worst thing you can do is confuse the two. How do you tell the difference? If she pulls away but still checks in occasionally, she's testing. If she pulls away and stays gone, she's gone. No amount of chasing will fix that. In fact, chasing accelerates it. The only move there is silence. Respect her exit. Replace her absence with progress in your own life. That's how you win both ways. The power of indifference. Let's be clear. Indifference is not cruelty. It's strength. It's showing that your happiness isn't up for negotiation. Because when a woman sees you can stand unshaken by her games, 2 things happen. She realizes she can't manipulate you emotionally. She feels drawn back into your frame, because your energy is rare. Most men fold. The man who doesn't? He becomes unforgettable. So let's cut it plain. Women don't want to lead. They want to feel led. But the second you chase, you hand over the wheel. You flip the dynamic. You become the follower. And no matter how much she liked you at first, no matter how much she swore she'd never lose interest, once you chase, the respect meter tanks. And without respect, attraction dies. So the rule is simple, never chase. If she pulls back, let her. If she wants to test, let her test. Because the strongest answer to distance is consistency. The moment you panic, you fail. The moment you stay solid, you win. That's why the most powerful men don't sweat the pullback. They know chasing destroys attraction, and holding frame multiplies it. Alright, let's talk about the comeback. You know that moment when she suddenly reappears after ignoring you, acting like nothing happened? You're confused, maybe even annoyed, but it's also proof of something powerful. When you don't chase, women almost always come back. Why? Because indifference is magnetic. The second she realizes you won't play her game, the curiosity flips. She starts wondering, why didn't he react? Why didn't he chase? Did I misjudge my importance? That thought alone is what drags her right back into your orbit. Her ego needs feedback. When she pulls away, it's not just about you. It's about her ego. She wants reassurance that she still has control, that she can still affect you. It's like poking the bear just to see if it roars. But when you don't chase, you rob her of that feedback. She expected a reaction, texts, calls, maybe even you begging for answers. Instead, she gets silence. That silence drives her insane. Suddenly, she's the one replaying old memories, scrolling your socials, wondering if you're with someone else. The test backfired, and now she's chasing you. The scarcity effect. Psychology has a name for this, the scarcity principle. Humans desire what seems rare, and when you don't chase, you instantly become scarce. You're signaling, my time and attention aren't free, they're valuable. That flips the script. Instead of her sitting on a pedestal, she's now scrambling to get back into your spotlight. Ever notice how the guy who doesn't care seems to have women orbiting him constantly? That's not magic, it's scarcity. Women value what isn't desperate to be valued. The emotional reversal. Here's the irony. She pulled away to see if you'd value her more, but your lack of chase makes her value you more. When you stay calm, she feels something rare, uncertainty, and uncertainty breeds attraction. Suddenly, you're not predictable. You're not on her leash. You're a mystery again. And women love mysteries. What triggers the return? So, what exactly makes her come back after ignoring you? Usually one of three things. Your indifference. She expected you to collapse. Instead, you thrived. That's attractive. Her realization. She remembers what you brought to the table, and absence makes her compare you to weaker men. Spoiler, they don't measure up. The ego check. She can't stand the idea that you're not affected, so she reaches out, even just to test if you'll respond. Notice how none of those involve you chasing. They're all triggered by your composure. Why she returns hardened. Now here's the best part. When she comes back, she often returns stronger than before. Why? Because ignoring you didn't get the reaction she expected. She realizes pulling away doesn't lower your value, it raises it. So when she re-enters, she's more invested. She laughs harder at your jokes. She texts faster. She seems suddenly more affectionate. Because deep down, she knows she almost lost her spot. And that fear of loss makes her value it more. The no-chase framework. So, how do you make sure she comes back stronger? You stick to the no-chase framework. Stay busy. If she pulls away, your schedule should look the same. Workouts, business, hobbies, all uninterrupted. Minimal reaction. If she comes back, don't punish her. Just keep it casual. Hey, how've you been? No bitterness, no sarcasm, just calm energy. Reinforce scarcity. Keep her guessing. Don't flood her with validation. Give just enough attention to keep the connection alive, but hold back enough to maintain mystery. This balance is what makes her chase harder than before. The dangerous mistake. Here's where most men ruin it. She comes back, and instead of holding frame, they overcompensate. They get too excited, too available, too forgiving. That erases all the scarcity that made her return in the first place. Suddenly she remembers why she pulled away, because she had all the power. So remember this. Her return doesn't mean you go back to old dynamics. It means you double down on the energy that made her come back. Strength, independence, composure. Why it works every time. You ever notice how women sometimes circle back months, even years later? That's because the memory of a man who didn't chase never dies. While other guys begged, you didn't. While other guys collapsed, you stood tall. That leaves an imprint. Even if she moved on, got married, had kids, there's a piece of her that remembers the one who didn't fold. That's the comeback effect in its rawest form. You become the ghost she can't forget. So let's keep it blunt. She pulls away to test if you'll chase. If you do, you lose respect. If you don't, she eventually comes back, and when she does, she values you more than before. The rule is simple. Never chase. Never collapse. Never let her pullback shake your frame. Because every time you stay solid, you win twice. Either she comes back stronger, or she stays gone, and you upgrade. Either way, you come out ahead. That's why the men who understand this never sweat the silence. They know the comeback is inevitable, Because in the end, the man who doesn't chase is the man she can't replace. Let's wrap this up with the rule most men ignore. The final rule that decides whether you stay in control or get played. Never fail her tests again. Because make no mistake, she will test you. It won't just be once. It won't just be at the start. It'll happen throughout the relationship. Sometimes subtle, sometimes dramatic. The pullback, the cold shoulder, the sudden silence. It's all part of her playbook. And if you keep failing those tests, you'll keep losing respect. But if you learn how to pass them every single time, that's when you become unshakable. Understand the test. The first mistake men make is thinking these pullbacks are about logic. They're not. They're about emotion. She doesn't ignore you because she needs space to think. She ignores you because she wants to see if she still has power. It's not conscious either. Most women don't even realize they're doing it. It's instinct. It's built into attraction itself. Just like a lioness swats at her cubs to toughen them up, she pulls away to see if you'll break or hold steady. That's the test. And the question is always the same. Are you really the man you claim to be? Or are you just another actor who crumbles under pressure? The wrong reaction. When men don't understand the test, they panic. They send desperate texts. They call 10 times. They write paragraphs explaining their feelings. They ask friends for advice, stalk her socials, and basically lose their composure. And here's the thing. Every time you do that, you're teaching her that you're weak. You're telling her, all you have to do to control me is pull away. That might win you temporary attention back, but it costs you long-term respect. And once respect is gone, attraction follows right behind it. The right reaction? So, what's the right move when she pulls away? 2 words, hold frame. If she ignores your text, don't double text. If she cancels plans, don't beg to reschedule. If she acts cold, don't suddenly turn into a dancing clown trying to cheer her up. You remain the same man you were before she pulled back. Calm, focused, busy, independent. This doesn't mean being rude. It doesn't mean playing games. It means you don't let her mood dictate your value. You don't let her energy decide your worth. That's how you pass the test. Why it works? When you hold frame, you're showing her something rare, consistency. Most guys crumble. Most guys switch up the second a woman gives them silence. But when you remain solid, she sees strength. She sees emotional stability. And deep down, that's what every woman craves in a man. Someone who doesn't fold under pressure. Think about it. If you can't handle her ignoring you for 2 days, how are you supposed to handle real-life stress? Bills, family, work, crises? Attraction is rooted in that question. And when you pass, she feels safer with you, more drawn to you, and ironically less likely to pull away next time. The long game. Here's the truth. You can't stop her from testing you. That's part of human psychology. But you can decide how you respond. And when you keep passing those tests, something shifts. She realizes she can't control you with silence. She realizes you don't beg for validation. She realizes that no matter what, you'll always be the same man. That realization creates something most men never achieve. Trust. Not the I trust you won't cheat kind. The I trust that you're unshakable kind. And that's what makes women relax into you, respect you, and stay loyal for the long haul. The never again rule. So here's the final rule. Once you learn to hold frame, never break it again. Because the second you break it, just once, you undo months of consistency. You show her the weakness was always there, waiting to come out. That's why the strongest men treat this like a lifestyle, not a tactic. It's not about acting unbothered. It's about becoming unbothered. It's not about faking strength. It's about building real strength. Financially, physically, emotionally, socially. When your life is full, her tests lose their power. You're not ignoring her. You're genuinely busy building your empire. And women can feel the difference. So here's the truth. Straight by the fire. She will test you. She will pull away. She will ignore you. And in those moments, she's not looking for words, flowers, or paragraphs. She's looking for proof. Proof that you're not like the others. Proof that your value doesn't collapse under pressure. If you fail, she owns you. If you pass, you own yourself. And when you own yourself, every woman, whether it's her or the next, feels it. That's the final rule. Hold frame, every time, without exception. Never let her silence dictate your worth. Never let her games shake your ground. Because the man who doesn't chase, the man who doesn't fold, the man who never breaks frame. That man never fails the test. And that's the man she can't resist.